Welcome into Trust the Process Live. It is Monday, and we are a city officially in limbo. We are officially in limbo here in the city of Philadelphia across all of the major sports, it seems, except for those Union down there holding it out at Subaru Park. And who knows? Maybe the boys wearing orange and black sweaters can turn the tides, but we're still about 11 days away from that. But we're gonna live in the misery, I guess. We're going to commiserate with everybody out there, and we're going to talk about some football. Maybe a little bit of baseball, even though I relent against this. I'm your host, James Hyden, here with my guys, the man of many digits, and yesterday, 20 digits, I believe it was. Maximilian, how are you?
Yesterday was rough. I have a lot to answer for on Friday's show with Josh, unfortunately. But it went as expected for the Eagles, for better or for worse. So I guess it's always a little bit easier to stomach. You know what I mean? It's a little bit easier taking a punch on the jaw from the best player in the game. So at least for me personally.
So you're telling me the FanDuel account didn't rack up many digits?
I mean, look, I gave everybody Chiefs -7 on Friday. I'm a man of my word. I took the Cowboys on Monday night. I took the Chiefs this past weekend. If I say it, I take it. The Chiefs treated me better than basically anything else I spewed on Friday. So take the wins where you get them. Unfortunately, that was my emotional hedge for the weekend and my only real positive on the betting front.
Just like cheesesteaks treated Andy Reid well, the Chiefs have treated Max well, it seems. Doc Locke, Josh Safran, how are you, friend?
Man, I'm tired today, but I'm good, Max. I'm not like you, however. I am not smart enough. I am very much a Philadelphia fan. Like I've said, I will feel all the pain. I do not emotionally hedge, even though I said it. Chiefs -7 was a lock, especially after Lane Johnson. But hey, that over, also a lock. I will take that. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom, boys. I'm feeling kind of positive after that game.
Kind of positive, huh?
Kind of positive.
Hey, I don't disagree.
It's the Chiefs.
Okay, so let's get right into that then. Why? So we talk about this, and they said it a little bit in the press conference. And the first question, that's a great segue into the first one. Josh, I'm gonna toss this right to you then, buddy. Moral victory? Like, what are you so positive about? Is there anything morally you can take away from this?
Yep, gentlemen, it's official. Mark it down, October 4th, and we are taking the first moral victory of the NFL season, or should I say of the Philadelphia Eagles season. So, Max, you weren't here last Tuesday.
I was not.
When we started talking about the Dallas Cowboy, the Monday Night Football drubbing, JJ was so matter of fact and said, man, I expected this. And I get where he was coming from, right? Like he, more as a neutral, may have expected a shellacking at the hands of the Eagles. Digits, I know both of us picked the Cowboys win, but I think I can speak for you and say you did not expect that type of result.
Maybe not to that extent.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe more of like a 10 to 14 point game.
Me too. And a 10 to 14
that was ugly.
Game,
that was an ugly game. I did not expect it to that extent, no.
I expected a 10 to 14 game where the Eagles were in it through 3 quarters. Obviously, that was not that. Yesterday is where I can look everyone in the eyes, you can look me in the eyes and say, that I expected, right? Maybe not a 40 burger, but I did say high 30s for the Chiefs, so that's not too far off. I'm taking a moral victory, boys, because that was what I wanted to see from Jalen Hurts coming off that Monday Night Football game. Let's face it. I came here and I said it. I ate the crow. I said I have nothing good to say about Jalen Hurts after Monday night. Looked like a deer in headlights. Didn't look like an NFL quarterback at all. This game, I'm not going to sit here and say Jalen Hurts outdueled Patrick Mahomes, but you're playing Patrick Mahomes. You're getting in a shootout, and I think Jalen Hurts did almost everything he could have possibly done for the Eagles. 2, maybe 3. There's 2 that stick out in my mind. Very bad throws in the red zone that might have cost you points and turned 7 into 3. I won't overlook that. He put up 387 yards. He did it pretty efficiently, and he just all around looked like a very good, competent NFL quarterback. You got to address the elephant in the room, which is the Chiefs' defense, especially against the pass. It's not great. But yeah, we saw very much an improvement from a Monday Night Football game against Dallas. And the Eagles really held their own and were in this game for almost 60 minutes. They were, let's say 50 minutes. Is that fair? The Eagles were in this game for 50 minutes against perennially the best team in the NFL with the perennial best quarterback and best player in the NFL. That is what I'd call a moral victory. There are a lot of things I have qualms with, but the Jalen Hurts is 1 point, and I think maybe 1A, actually. Let's call Jalen Hurts 1B. 1A, Devontae Smith. Fanners, I know you wanted to talk about it more last week. You were on it. I was okay to give it a little bit more time just based on how these games were going. That was a beautiful game for Devontae Smith because you saw the Devontae Smith that you saw in college, right? High pointing these balls, making contested catches where, that the physicality in the NFL we were afraid was going to be too much for him. It didn't look too much for him on Sunday. So, yes, gentlemen, I am officially taking a moral victory. The defense, the penalties, I am very upset with. We'll get into that. But I am focusing on Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, and I don't think Sirianni didn't call a great game, but he called a much improved game. And for now, you got to run with that. If I'm wrong, Banner, I would love to hear it. But Digits, I mean, I'm curious to see. I think you agree with me, right?
I think that it is wild what we are expecting out of a first-time and honestly an underqualified head coach and a half a rookie quarterback. I don't want to use the phrase moral victory because I don't necessarily feel good about that game because of that. Like we did kind of have the Chiefs on the ropes for a little bit. Like, for it felt like it. Like we never really did, but when you're, when a home underdog is sticking around, like the longer that happens, the more doubt starts to creep in. And the Eagles were in this game at a point when the clock had fourth quarter showing on it. It didn't last for long, but there was a point in time in the fourth quarter where that game was within reach. And look, we shouldn't be expecting, we shouldn't even be expecting consistency out of this team. If I'm being quite frank about it, like I think that was what opened my eyes in the Cowboys game the most is that we got to remember this is a young and inexperienced offense, like at every position and coaching staff. Like that's what I mean. Coaching staff and players, with the exception of Miles Sanders and what was our starting offensive line in Week 1. Now we're at the point where damn near everybody's inexperienced except Jason Kelce, right? And I don't want to use the phrase moral victory, but I was encouraged by that performance. They, if the Eagles came out and they put up 14 points against that Chiefs defense, then I'd be, the sirens are blaring here. But that game was the epitome of why the Chiefs are the Chiefs. And like the age-old adage you'll hear on every Chiefs game, you need more than field goals to beat the Chiefs. And that's what happened. The Eagles needed more than field goals to beat the Chiefs. We are, that was just an epitome textbook case of good team being good and not so good team being not so good. And that just is the difference consistently throughout the game in terms of finishing drives. The Chiefs had a 11-play touchdown drive. The Chiefs didn't need to go deep to beat us. They death by 1,000 cuts the Eagles every drive that they needed to. The Chiefs had 7 drives, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's all you need to know. The Chiefs they're a step above the Eagles, and the fact the Eagles banged with them for at least over half the game. I don't care if you want to say fourth quarter, no, at least half the game. I think that's okay because you shouldn't have the expectation that they're going to take the current second best team. If we go off last year's standings, no objectivity, the current second best team in the NFL to, into the fourth quarter or close to it. So,
and I mean, yeah, like they went toe to toe playing the Chiefs game, which is shooting out, scoring a lot of points. The Eagles, and I'd say the Eagles went the distance, they got beat around for the last 3 rounds of that distance and Chiefs left no doubt who was the winner. They took them the distance.
I've said this multiple times, and I'm going to still kind of rest on this. I don't believe in moral victories. I just don't, because it's like it's trying to spin things in a positive way. And sure, there are positives, but like it can't be labeled as a moral victory. Like, hey, like you're not allowed to call this a loss. Like we took away some really good. No, those are teaching moments.
Nobody's saying it shouldn't be a loss. Like this is like, if anything, this is the closest you could ever be to a moral victory. You can't be moral victory after you lose a close game. Like I think this is maybe the most acceptable you can be, where you're playing a team that's vastly superior to you in terms of quality, top to bottom, and you hang with them as long as possible. You give them a true, honest, good, competitive game. And the difference in talent and coaching experience is what ultimately made the difference in the favor of the Chiefs. But if you're the Eagles, you're a young team, trying to build something from scratch. head coach on his 4th game, quarterback on his 7th, 8th, 9th start of his pro career. Like, we shouldn't be expecting these guys to come out and be able to do this on a week-to-week basis. And I think you can feel good about a game like this. I don't think you're ever allowed to be. You can't feel moral victories with division games. Can't feel moral victories in close losses. Like a loss like this where, you ultimately got kind of banged up and it wasn't really close by the end. Like that is what a moral victory is, because you don't feel like it was a 20-point loss by the end of it. It's like, damn, before things got a little bit out of hand there, we were kind of in it with these guys. And that's what a moral victory is.
Fundamentally, I disagree. It's just, I don't, a loss is a loss is a loss, no matter how much it comes. It's all about how it's all about how you look at it during
that's
practice.
Your thought.
Like, to me,
I respect your opinion.
To me, I'm going back to my points last week. Like, sure, Nick Sirianni is an inexperienced head coach and quite honestly underqualified. Sure, Jonathan Gannon has never been a coordinator, let alone a defensive coordinator before. But these guys got here for specific reasons, and they aren't doing the things that got them here. Jonathan Gannon, I talked about it last week, the defense he learned and brought here, the double A gap misdirection. If you take a look back at what the teams that beat the Chiefs did and did well, it was play man. It wasn't play zone. It was play man. And the good defenses that Bill Belichick has always run, sure, they've been zone 3-4 zone, but they get away from that when they need to. They do things that they need to. They change the scheme, and they do things that they need to win. Like this was, you let Tyreek Hill absolutely destroy you. Patrick Mahomes didn't even need Travis Kelce. And you do that by playing man on Tyreek Hill. And it didn't happen at all. Like it didn't have, like it just wasn't even a thought. This is why you brought in Darius Slay. I mean, 1A was you didn't have a cornerback, so you needed to bring in Darius Slay, and 1B was you brought in Darius Slay to do what Slay does. I'm sorry I keep saying Darius. He prefers just Slay. You brought him in to be a shutdown corner, a guy who shadows the number one receiver. You're not going to put him on Travis Kelce. Ergo, you put him on Tyreek Hill in a system that has proven to be the only way to slow down the Chiefs. So, I mean, I think we'll get back around to it. It's just like, what? Who would I be to get somewhere or get a job and then completely forget the things that got me said job? It just doesn't make sense to me. Like clearly, and it's Nick Sirianni doesn't even need to say it at this point. He doesn't like Miles Sanders, whether it's something on or off the field. He does not like.
Maybe not at this point, honestly.
And I'm not like I'm not completely faulting him for obviously just displaying that he likes Kenny Gainwell better, because Gainwell is a very talented player and he could be something in this league. But like, geez, dude, like, did he email your wife or something? Like, I don't like what happened? Like, how did Miles Sanders hurt you? Did you just not like Penn State? Like, I understand that, but like, is it what really happened?
Yeah, I'm asking the same thing, Banner. I don't disagree with you, but I think it's like the Chiefs were a bad bounce back from the Dallas game. Like that's as bad of a bounce back as you can get. Like, I don't know if there's anything Jonathan Gannon could have done. Like, I really don't. Like, I mean, maybe because what it comes down to is the score looks bad because he sent an all-out blitz in a desperation mode, and Tyreek Hill did a Tyreek Hill thing.
But like even there, that's not Mike Zimmer's defense. That's not the too high safety, the cover two Tampa that is taught. Like it's not like it's not what he learned. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally know what you mean. I really just believe that this is the Chiefs. Like I'll just keep saying it. I think you gotta come back next weekend and then see against a formidable offense, a dynamic offense. We love giving Joe Brady his flowers here. But Sam Darnold's no Patrick Mahomes, and the Panthers have a very good wide receiver core. So I think we'll get a better taste of what you're saying next week, right? Like maybe it's wrong of me, but I'm willing to kind of call it a wash on the defensive end this weekend. Look, the defense isn't good, right? I think we learned that. I bought and I said this could be a top 10 defense. I don't believe that, and I don't know whether that's Brandon Graham or just the quality of opponent. I think that's a check with me next week. I'll abstain from it this week, Banner, and we can rehash it after the Panthers game because I think we'll get a better indicator. Because let's face it, we're 4 weeks in, and there's still zero identity defensively. You're getting identity on offense. It's not what we
I mean,
expected.
their defensive identity is let people work the ball down the field without ever giving up a big play, like by any means necessary, and like that has to change because no offense in the league just simply relies on deep shots. Like
it's a poor rendition of a bend don't break defense.
Exactly. At this point, the league is more likely to give the ball to their best player behind the line of scrimmage than they are 30 yards down the field. And you prevent big plays by, obviously you have to respect Tyreek Hill in a way you don't have to respect many, if any, other players in the league. But, I mean, this has been a consistent theme through the first 4 games at this point that by any means necessary, you don't allow the 60-yard completion at all, but you can give them – I mean, go back and look at the Chiefs. Go back and look at the full play-by-play, drive-by-drive summary. Every single Chiefs drive is methodical, efficient, basically always positive yards, especially on passing plays. And that's what any kind of good offense will do to you. I hate to say it, but I expect Joe Brady and the Panthers to be able to operate, accordingly against us. Like, we great job. You guys covered up Travis Kelce. You did great. What happened with the other really good pass receiver on the other team? Oh, he went for a 50 burger in fantasy and had, the best statistical game of the season so far for any player. Like, I mean, maybe you can argue the Derrick Henry game, but at worst top 2. My point is that they're focusing too much on just like they're just too dialed in on one specific concept.
Yes.
Just don't let up a big play over the top.
And I was just about to say that, like, it's kind of like the Belichick philosophy of we're going to take this guy out of the game, except the Eagles seem to do it to a fault, right? So, yeah. I mean, the Niners, they only get up 17 points. That's a whole different story. But Kittle, where was he, right? Cowboys game, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, they didn't go crazy. Everyone else did. Look at what Dalton Schultz did this week. Travis Kelce. It's like, oh, God, not Travis Kelce. Tyreek Hill goes crazy. It seems like they get so keyed on one player that everyone else just gets – it's just a shower of money for everyone else. Whereas they're like, oh, we're going to stop Kelce. And it's like, congratulations. Stop Kelce, give up 42 points.
Yeah, I guess my overall point is it's a loss. So in any loss, there are positives. So – let's just move on. Like, I don't know if there's me personally. I don't know.
See, I don't even agree with that. I feel like there's not positives in every loss.
I would disagree, but I would disagree. I think there's always something that
maybe on a fundamental level that you can always learn from your mistakes and improve on that.
And that's kind of where I was going.
I think other than that, no, I think that's just kind of like low hanging fruit. I guess technically right, but I wouldn't say that that's like universally true. Like sometimes games are just like so bad. I guess this applies more to other sports than football, but sometimes games are just so bad that if you try to emulate or, anything more than just that sucked top to bottom, don't do that again is, that's shallow advice.
Well, I guess that's kind of my overall core beliefs. And I think it reflects more on this week because what you were just talking about reflects more of the Cowboys. Like there was a very, very slim pickings of things that you could build on from the Cowboys game. This is more in the gray area. To me, I guess where this goes is there's already been an overwhelming amount of news of how Nick Sirianni is giving bulletin board material, and players are like, I don't want to say losing accountability, but like there's no fundamentals here. There's so many penalties, and we're going to get to that. And it's a very sloppy brand of football, and we're going to get that in the second question. But to me, it's like, why allow people to take moral victories when this is such a it's devolved into a poor brand of football very quickly from a blowout win in week 1 versus Atlanta. Like there's no positive into going in the locker room tomorrow. I don't know if now it wasn't a victory, so they wouldn't have gotten a victory Monday off, but there's no positive in coming in on Monday and being like, hey guys, like this is a moral victory. Like, no, like you got beat at home.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like, as a fan, as someone who talks about it, I'll take a moral victory. Hurts and Sirianni were very clear about how they don't take moral victories. And I respect that. Like, right? Like, I get it. I respect it. But as a fan, maybe it's because it makes me feel better. I'm taking the moral victory.
Yeah, and that's just me being objective. Like, that's why I agree with Jalen and Nick and Coach Sirianni. Like, we got beat. We got beat by a very superior team, obviously, but we got beat at home. Like this is what it is. We touched on it a little bit there. We're going to move into the second question here, guys. There could be multiple answers here, so I want to see which direction everybody goes here. what's holding this team back? I mean, penalties, play calling, poor defense, bulletin
Penalties,
board
penalties,
material.
penalties, penalties, penalties,
Ma-
penalties,
yeah,
penalties,
Max, you're selling
penalties,
out for penalties.
penalties, 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 penalties. It's every drive, every drive.
Both sides of the ball.
They get one stop on third down once every 5 tries, and when they do, there's a flag on the field. It's almost impressive. Honest to God, I hate to do, I don't like to do the players by name thing, but we need to make a memorial award for the co-ed Derek Barnett and Josh Sweat. Good for one untimely penalty each a game award from here on out. I think they both had multiple this week. Josh Sweat with just one of the best offsides you'll see all season. Barnett, just always good for roughing the passer a week. I actually think he's perfect through 4 games. I think he's got one every week so far. If this was soccer, he would be accumulating yellow cards. He would probably miss a game based on yellow card accumulation if the NFL did yellow cards. So I just wanted to throw that out there just while it hit me. And Josh, I know you're the king of making and naming awards, so you can throw that in your docket for future ideas.
It's almost like somebody's been calling Derek Barnett for a bust for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He's been getting bustier each year. I mean, it's not to go too far down this path, but it's like the Ben Simmons thing where it's like you make the same mistakes and they get significantly less forgivable the longer that you are in the league doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that because that's a different conversation.
It's gotten to a point where even the camera, and I love giving like camera guys in the NFL or any professional sport like their flowers. This guy somehow had the foresight, or maybe he was just there and didn't move and stuck on Sirianni. And you catch Sirianni just going, it's always him. Like it's always Barnett. Like just the sixth sense that cameramen have after doing their job for any amount of years is wonderful sometimes. But Josh,
really quick before we move on, just to touch on my thing, Josh, idea for our for some point, we need to nominate and then decide a winner for the best Derek Barnett roughing the passer and the best Josh Sweat calls of the year. Like we'll treat it like the Golden Globes or your award show of choice.
And I'm going to get back, but who's the early leader for the Nate Gary Memorial Whitesnake Award?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Early leader.
I don't know because it's not Andre Dillard at all, which is surprising me. Maybe not at all.
Could it be Barnett?
Boys, my take's too hot. I actually can't say it. I'm not even going to say it.
Could it be Fletcher Cox?
That was what I was going to say.
I'm going to pull up. I'll pull up Fletcher Cox's stats because I saw them and they were quite alarming.
It might be Ryan Kerrigan, though. Low key.
Ooh, that's a good one, too.
But dude, they said he didn't even have a statistic this year. Not even an assisted tackle. Oh, come on.
I think you have to be on the field a little bit. You have to be on the field too much to get the award. So I think maybe Fletch is leading right now just because he's on the field for almost every snap. But if Ryan Kerrigan gets a little bit more run and still doesn't have a statistic, he'll take that one. He'll take that cake.
Yeah. That could be an interesting storyline to watch as the year goes on.
Yeah, and I was pretty sure it was going to be on that line. And I mean, let's real quick. Let's give the offensive line a little bit of flowers on the penalties call. They had a few really bad penalties in some big spots. There's 4 out of 5 guys that were not starters, so I will give them flowers. They did much better than I expected them to.
I will say that you can kind of obviously penalties are penalties, but the defensive penalties getting made by the same people in the same situations week by week are different than when, it was bad enough they were going to have 3, different offensive linemen starting, and then your best or, at least most important offensive lineman is personal decision scratch an hour and a half before the game, and they rearrange the line again. Like, you can't have high hopes for that line in that situation. So, it sucks because they did have a statistically bad game penalty wise, but they just never felt as impactful as the defensive ones, I would say.
And Josh, to get back to your nomination for the Whitesnake Award, Fletcher Cox.
What, 5
tackles? And get ready for this, boys. It's not good.
Oh no.
5 total tackles.
Yep.
3 solo tackles. 0 tackles for loss. 0 sacks. 1 touchdown.
0 quarterback hits.
He's got a touchdown.
on a ball that literally fell into his hands. Like
Zero
this is
quarterback hits. May I add?
zero hits. It's saying 2 total pressures, 0 tackles for loss, nothing. Like I could forgive the low sack numbers, but like he's not.
Yeah.
It's the over under for the effort hit. It hit.
Smash.
If it didn't hit before
Smash.
now, it has hit.
Oh boy, that hurts. That hurts to hear.
The veterans are holding this team back, with the exception of Javon Hargrave and.
Crazy.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just crazy. It's just
crazy.
crazy.
Okay, yeah. It's like we talked about this, and I brought it up week 1 as like, hey, I don't want to take anything away from this win, but like this needs to get cleaned up. It hasn't gotten cleaned up. Best wishes to Lane Johnson. Hope everything's all right.
For real.
But I'll take Jason Kelsey out of that equation too. But like outside of that, who is helping this team? Ryan Kerrigan has been. You could have told me Ryan Kerrigan was on IR, and I would have believed you. I would have straight up believed you.
Ryan Kerrigan's sitting out the season for COVID reasons.
It's like Anthony
It's
Harris.
a personal decision.
Yeah. Anthony Harris has been a net negative.
Yeah.
Rodney McLeod when he returned to the field.
Hold on, really quick pause.
Yeah.
I have to give negative coaching points for bringing back a guy off a torn ACL against the Chiefs first game back. Just give it another week. Like I get it, you're in a bad spot and you have to get him back in, but like
this is not the game to bring him back.
This is like you can't expect him to like to play like you need to play at that level.
No.
Just sorry, I thought that was ridiculous when I heard the mention that this was his first game back this week.
No. The other veterans, I mean, we just touched on Fletcher Cox. You can consider Josh Sweat and Derek Barnett veterans at this point because they are. We keep hearing everything about Josh Sweat, and we keep being left wanting, I guess. Derek Barnett doesn't even need to be touched on. We touched on it so many times, and this is what happens. Again, this is what happens when you ignore the position of linebacker for the better part of a decade, if not longer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts around this.
So simple. It really is so simple.
Even a ball, even like a middle linebacker general of your defense, you don't have it.
Eric Wilson got an interception, which was awesome for Max and I because we forgot what it was like to get an interception. And that might be the only thing he's ever done wearing midnight green. Like, nice interception, man. Please just do something else on any other play, though.
I think he had a special teams tackle.
Nice.
Week 2.
There it is.
I think I can distinctly remember that.
There it is. It's just the overall theme of correctable mistakes, especially from veteran players, is I already talked about the poor defense. The play calling on the defense is it's whatever.
We touched on that.
We touched on that. The play calling in the offense was definitely better this week.
What's up, Josh?
No, I wanted to touch back on the defense real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen any blitzing at all? Because I don't think I have.
No. It's the blitzing from that defense that Gannon runs comes from the linebackers in the A gap, but they're not even running them up before the play into those gaps to even like.
There's no disguising. There's no disguising
the blitz
either.
And then pull out. They're not like that's what Mike Zimmer's been doing. Like since he's gotten more conservative, he doesn't send the blitz as much because of the D line. He'll run them up into the A gaps and then back them off into coverage because you don't know what you have. But Gannon's not even putting them up at the line, and they also don't have a strong safety that they can move everywhere to play single high. So, like when you're trying to send a safety blitz, he'll come up and he'll play the run. He'll pack the box, but they're not bringing a safety down because Anthony Harris is a center fielder and Rodney McLeod's coming back off ACL surgery. So there's
Kevon Wallace isn't that good.
Kevon Wallace, I mean, he's getting injured too. You haven't seen any cornerback blitzes. You're not trying to get exotic in that way. They
haven't been creative on defense at all through 4 games. It's been very milquetoast.
Maddox to me could be a very good slot blitzer, nickel blitzer if used like that, but he hasn't been. I don't know.
I think Maddox has been.
I feel like I remember Maddox getting a sack, maybe against the Packers. On that Thursday night game.
That sounds right.
The Jalen Hurts Thursday night Packers game, or that wasn't a Thursday night, was it?
No, you're throwing a bunch of things together there.
I think it was the Monday night game?
Whatever the it was it wasn't the Jalen Hurts game, but I'm pretty sure it was the Thursday
It was that Thursday game, in Lambeau.
Yeah. In Lambeau. Yes.
So there's a bunch of things. I guess you can pick one minor thing from each and say everything's holding them back.
Real quick. real quick, I want to answer the question. Real quick, I'm going to go with play calling actually, but in between the 20s, not like the red zone play calling needs to be better. Like, but in this case, it's tough because I can't. It's hard to choose between penalties and play calling in this game. I think it's a very what came first, chicken or the egg in this one, because the two biggest penalties of this game, in my opinion, were not roughing the passers. We're not holding, except for that one holding. It might have been Dillard, but
it was the illegal touch.
Yeah, but what hurt me was the 2 delay of games that came on 1st and goal and 4th and 3 in this game, where that totally changes how you think. But the play calling for me in the red zone needs to be simpler. We were just asking for more creativity, but once you get closer to the goal line, you really need to simplify it just a little bit. You need to run the ball a little bit more. I hate to sound like such an Eagles fan, where apparently they were chanting "run the ball" at the link. Love it, very classic. But
good work, fans.
Yeah, of course, and it worked. They ran the ball first play and it went 1 yard, of course. But listen, it seems very simple. Where you're play calling, you're overthinking yourselves, and you're forcing Jalen Hurts to kind of run around and throw the ball away. And that was a difference in this game. Eagles were 50% on touchdowns in the red zone. Chiefs were 100%. Nick Sirianni, look, I've seen improvement, which is my biggest problem between week 2 and week 3. At least I saw improvement week 4. It's the play calling in the red zone that's really holding this team back. Because, Banders, I think it was you or Max saying it, like, you could have beat the Chiefs, right? Like, obviously we didn't expect them to. You just left so many points on the board. That's the difference between good coaching and great coaching. Yeah, there's no secret. The gap between Sirianni and Andy Reid is tremendous. But that's why the Chiefs won the game the way they did. I should have tallied up the points that they left on the board. It was at least, I want to say like 12. I want to say at least 12 points you left on the board from your red zone play calling. And maybe it's play calling, maybe it's execution, whatever. For me, it's easier to look and say, like, hey, why are we running these pass plays on 2nd and medium, and when you could be setting yourself up for 3rd and short and then punching the ball in? I don't know. Maybe the Eagles need to go out and not literally LeGarrette Blount, but I gotta imagine there's a guy you can pick off who's just a big body who can.
Jordan Howard's on the practice squad.
What's that?
Jordan Howard's on the practice squad.
There you go. I mean, I do think he's washed, but can he get you half a yard when he?
I think my biggest issue is that they need to start using their big guys like big guys in the red zone. Like, the issue with
is Jordan Howard going to average you more than 1.9 yards a carry, which Miles Sanders did?
Well, Jordan Howard can average me 1 yard per carry if he comes in at 4th and 1. Like, that's all I'm asking for is give it to the guy. I always say it. What happened to a Chris Polk? Right? That guy would come in for nothing other than to lower his shoulder, follow the lead block, and fall forward. It's
different game.
Different times, man. That's a name I haven't heard in years.
Dude, Josh, I'm surprised you got that in your arsenal, honestly.
Because I remember it's just so vivid of how, like, this guy comes in, everyone knows in the stadium what he's doing, and it works most of the time until, they load the box. But then that's when you try a little bootleg. That's when you get cute. You jam it down their throat 3 times. I'm sounding all hard-nosed, John Madden football here, but it's true. It works. You got to hit him right down the middle, and then you get cute.
I'm telling you, Josh, you would win one of those Twitter competitions for, like, name a random Philadelphia player of the past decade. Like, that's one of the great. That's one of the ones you pull out and just throw it on the table right there.
I was going to go Leonard Weaver, but that was like Chris Polk's like the one right below Leonard Weaver, so I went deep cuts.
Oh, boys, our third question here in the main event. How does this affect your outlook on the we'll call them fringe games of the schedule, and I'll give you some examples. The Panthers, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Saints out of New Orleans. How does it make you feel, Josh?
Yeah, you know me, Banners. You know how this made me feel. This was a nice breath of fresh air for me, where last week I started doubting those games. And no, I don't think they're going to beat the Chargers. I'm feeling much better against the Panthers. I'm saying it right now. I expect a win against the Panthers next Sunday.
Wow.
I know,
how do you
boys.
Do this to yourself?
How do I do it? Well, listen, I never expected a loss against the Panthers. But last week, if you asked me, I would have abstained. This week, I'm back on the train. I really think they're going to beat the Panthers.
Wait, what do you mean? You didn't abstain last week.
What do you mean? I never said they were going to lose to the Panthers, did I? Go check tape. Go check tape. Find me
Check
saying
tape.
they're going to lose to the Panthers.
All right. All right.
Look, the Chargers they're going to lose to. But here's the bottom line: is you got the games against the Jets, who somehow ruined my survivor pool. Don't want to talk about it, but you got the Jets, you got the Lions, you got the Broncos, you got the Panthers, you got the Raiders on the schedule. I don't think they're going to win against all those teams. I think they go 3-2 against those teams, and I'm not going to go ahead and pick wins-loss against all those teams. But I feel confident that the Eagles are better than everyone in the division, not from Dallas. I feel confident that the Eagles will take care of business against the Jets and the Lions, and I feel confident that they'll win at least one of those games against the Raiders and the Panthers. Did I feel the way after Dallas? Absolutely not. But I think, this team can go over 500 this season, which I don't know if either of you two are believing.
I don't.
Listen, I said I wasn't going to divert from how I felt at the beginning of the season last Monday. I stand by it.
Yeah, Josh, your Jets point. The Titans have officially entered the.
He's tilted. He's tilted because he lost his survivor pool. He's tilted.
Well, the Titans have officially entered the realm of the Miami Heat for me, as in teams that I will not bet on ever.
Listen.
You guys got to start checking in with me.
Real quick, real summary of what happened. I forgot to make my picks like a nice guy. The owner of the pool emailed me Sunday morning. So when I wake up Sunday at 8 a.m. and I see that email, I quickly go, oh, my God, who are the Jets playing? Titans, send it in. I'm looking at the Titans wide receiver group 2 hours later and just going, buddy, you made a mistake.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Max, how did this change your outlook on these fringe games that are upcoming on the Eagles schedule?
I mean, I think you're being pretty generous calling. I'll say the Panthers are still for real in my eyes. The Raiders, I'm kind of worried the Raiders could be on fraud watch after tonight. We'll see. I don't know if I would call those fringe games. I would still say the Eagles should be considered underdogs until proven otherwise in those two games specifically. I think against a team like the Chargers, they should be considered an underdog. I think as much as I hate to say it, depends on who's at QB for the Broncos. Drew Lock, maybe it's a little closer. I think if it's Teddy Bridgewater, I think you consider the Eagles slight underdogs. I think the Eagles are going to be underdogs for most of their games this year. I think they're if we're going to look at it from a numbers perspective really quick, I think there's going to be a lot of close and weird spreads whenever we hit that stretch of divisional games with Washington and the Giants and Cowboys part 2 again. That's still pretty far ways down the road, so I guess we don't need to get into it too heavily. But, I mean, in my eyes, let me pull up their schedule here really quick. But nothing in my mind says that a lot of these matchups should be considered a fringe. Let's see. Panthers, not a fringe game. Buccaneers, not a fringe game. Raiders, not a fringe game. Like, I hate to say it, but, like, right now, 1-3 versus 0-4, the Eagles and Lions, that's a fringe game.
Honestly, the only one I would call a fringe game is,
I hate to say it, but
it's the Saints. I don't believe in the Saints team at all. I believe in the Saints defense. I do not believe in the Saints offense. Alvin Kamara can do as much as I don't believe in it.
I just have no idea what to make of them.
And right now, the 58.5% win probability for the Saints game as the season now stands.
For the Eagles?
For the Saints.
Oh, okay. No, that makes sense.
For the Saints. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree largely with Max's point. You have to prove to me you're not an underdog. You really do, especially with these home showings.
No. Just because the bones might be there, like teams have to lose. Somebody has to lose. Their teams have to fall into line somewhere in the pecking order, and just like
I'm not saying they should be favorited. I'm saying I'll be making money with those plus odds. That's all.
A lot of my views have not changed since last week. I think a lot of the first question is going into this week and taking away from the sting of last week about.
You're not wrong.
About exactly how bad that Cowboys loss was, which I don't think.
I mean, look, I guess I'll say this: the Cowboys loss had me starting to worry that the Eagles were a legitimate bottom tier team in the league, and this game against the Chiefs kind of was like, okay, no, you. I think you were more on, like, talking to myself. I think you were more on at the beginning of the year. They are not a bottom of the team, and they are a competent NFL team.
Well, as of right now, this may or may not be a hot take. Dallas's defense is better than the Chiefs.
Oh,
that's not a hot take at all.
Like by a lot.
You could have said, if you want hot take, you got to say Dallas defense and is top 5 because I think as of right now the Cowboys defense is comfortably top 10.
I think they're
Comfortably.
I would say,
top 10.
and I'll be honest. Before this week, I was saying the start to Trayvon Diggs' season was somewhat fluky, and I think he was getting too much credit. I was completely wrong.
Legit.
I was completely wrong.
It sucks.
That pick this week was incredible. Like Trayvon Diggs is the real deal. And let's not forget the Chiefs were missing Frank Clark as well as Jerron Reed and another cornerback as well.
Be missing a few guys.
There was another cornerback that they were missing as well. I can't remember the name off the top two, but like, I don't know. I have my feelings haven't really changed, and I think the Panthers didn't go down in my rankings too much. I think the only thing that happened was Dallas went up. The Dallas really showed that they are a real team. Vegas could change a little bit tonight depending on how they look, because I think the Chargers are real. I'm not sure how Vegas is going to attack them, but like the teams like the Saints, I don't believe in. What was the other team mentioned on the Broncos? Max, you made a very good point. It all depends on it all depends on who's a quarterback, because Drew Lock, I was wrong about him. I said he was a great second round pick for the Denver Broncos, and I was completely wrong about that. Yeah. Drew Lock is not a good pick.
Teddy Bridgewater will probably be back in 5 weeks. He's just had a concussion. I mean, not just a concussion, not to underplay it, but concussion timeline is not usually 4 to 5 weeks.
Exactly. Boys, our last touch here in the main event before our favorite segment of the week. Do we have to? I don't.
Hold on.
Do we have to?
Hold on.
What do you? Oh boy.
I'm stating.
Yeah, Max, that's kind of how I feel, brother. I guess. Wow, if we really do have to ask this question, are the Phillies either A, improving, B, eternally stagnant, or C, declining? Can I see declining to answer?
Yeah.
Like I don't.
I love the phrase eternally stagnant so much that I've decided to opt back in to answer eternally stagnant.
Yeah, that's my answer.
So I watched. So if you haven't heard of them, there's a great channel on YouTube called Secret Base. They have about like 1.1.
I just saw the video was released. Yep.
They have like 1.1 million subscribers, and it is just a novella on how the 2011 Phillies started just a decade of misery. And if you haven't watched it, and if you didn't watch us last week, don't go back and watch my prediction for the Phillies.
Oh no, banners. No.
Yeah.
I won't. To honor your request, I won't do that, but I'm sorry to hear that you have to make that statement.
Yeah, it's not only was the statement just like it was hilariously wrong. My like it was hilariously wrong, but my Philadelphia Phillies win future also did not hit because of this last stretch of games.
Oh, unlucky.
So
before we move on, just quick shout out to Bryce Harper. Deserving of an MVP, he won't win.
Can we give this man some flowers for not only the career he's had, but the complete paradigm shift in just demeanor and like personality?
Yeah. Hey, he's a father now. He's a new guy.
Honestly, hard narrative on the father stuff.
Like before, we all hated him when he was in DC, and then when there were the rumors,
I'll never forget Cole Hamels pegging him his first game in the big leagues. Never will forget it.
When there was rumors that he would start to consider the Phillies and they were going to make a big push, it was always like, and I apologize for the French, but like, all right, he's a douchebag, but like, I'd rather him be my douchebag. But since he's gotten here, he's been nothing short like of the. He's not like the rah-rah guy, but he's been nothing short of a consummate professional and says all of the right things and displays all of the right energy. So good for you, Bryce. I really do love you, and I'm glad you're a Philly, and I'm really, really sorry that Andy McPhail and Matt Klentak have continued the drudgery that is this team around you.
My gosh.
So, yeah.
I almost wish he was a little bit more of a douchebag. Like, give me the throwing a helmet at Hunter Strickland, Bryce, every now and then.
There's Secret Base also did a very good video on the Hunter Strickland, Bryce Harper beef. And what that video taught me is if you sign Hunter Strickland, you win a World Series. unfortunately. I don't know how that works, but that was somehow turned out to be what I took away from
The
that
James
video.
Jones effect.
Who else
Yeah,
was it?
exactly,
Nick Swisher?
exactly.
Nick Swisher too?
Yeah, Nick Swisher's a good example of that, I think.
But can we be done with the
Yeah,
baseball?
baseball's done. Baseball's done.
Yeah. Eternally stagnant. There's the same thing every year.
One of my friends was like invested in a wild card race and was like texting my group chat about it. I'm like, dude, I don't care about baseball anymore. The Phillies are dead.
It got to a point where I was hoping so bad that the Mariners would make the playoffs just to make the Phillies look more pathetic. With the playoff drought, that is.
I was just rooting for the Mariners because they were a fun story. That is that is as nihilistic as it gets.
And I mean, it also would have come at the expense of the Yankees or Red Sox, which is something everyone can always get.
That's awesome.
But Josh, that's like masochism, nihilism, and everything rolled into one. Dude.
Josh is a sicko. I'm telling you, he says some effed up S on Trust the Picks.
That's
all I'm going to say, brother.
And I own it too. I'm not going to act like I'm not.
All right, we're done with baseball for a while. Don't worry, we'll be back whenever spring training starts because I'll watch every pitch of it.
Baseball over hockey.
I'll report back with every pitch of spring training.
We're skipping it.
Don't worry, boys. Our favorite segment of the week is here: winners and losers. We're gonna go around the table here. We're gonna do a little circle, and we're gonna start with losers. So, Josh Safran, your Week 4 NFL loser. Don't take mine.
All right, mine's really simple. It's the man on the bottom left here. It's the Steelers. And I don't know if we did this last week, but I'm happy to do this every week. What the hell? Like, what the hell? They didn't even play that bad, and they never had a shot in this game. I was pretty hyped, like embarrassingly hyped on the Steelers after week 1 because I thought their defense was as good as it was last year. That's not true.
Nope.
They're just not a good team.
No.
And it's so simple. Like, all right, it's not that simple because one, Najee Harris has been a disappointment. I don't know if that's a result of Ben Roethlisberger. I think it just all comes back to Ben Roethlisberger being washed as hell. And it just feels it's the classic cliche Einstein quote. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to work. Do you think Ben Roethlisberger is just all of a sudden going to be 8 years younger this weekend? Like, what do they expect? And look, we've done this before. The quarterback room's not any better. I almost feel bad for the Steelers, but I had to, they've been so good for so long. I don't feel bad for them at all. They're pathetic.
No pity.
Can we say you can put a fork in their season?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Put a fork in them. Season's over. And I'm not sorry about it because I'm a little sorry because I think there is talent on that team. I think there's a lot of talent on their team. It all comes back to trotting out the sorry quarterback every Sunday. What are you doing?
Yeah. I will put a caveat on that. I really hope Mike Tomlin does not catch the flack for all this.
Any team would be very, very lucky to have Mike Tomlin.
If any team can scoop up Mike Tomlin, you had a great season just simply because of that. So, Max, your Week 4 NFL loser.
I was going to let you. Did Josh steal yours, or do you still have yours on the table?
Mine's still on the table.
You can go first because I have 2, and by virtue, you'll get yours.
I'm going to go Urban Meyer, not even the Jacksonville.
Oh, buddy!
I was going to do it. Good man, man.
Like this is like I've lost in life, boys. Like I've taken my L's and I've held them close to the vest, but like never have my losses been so extreme that they've been broadcasted out to the world on Twitter. Like this man really took the L in Cincinnati, let the team fly back without him, stayed in Ohio, went to the bar he owns, and somehow also ruined his marriage with a sorority girl at the bar that he owns.
Legendary.
Like that is, I don't even know how to like fully encapsulate that. Like if you have to come out in a press conference and like just say like, oh yeah, my wife she's not happy. My wife is not happy with me. Oh yeah, we lost, but I know good football teams. This guy, I know good football teams, and we have a good football team. Like Urban, dude. Like I don't think you do. Like it's not you don't have a good football team or a good marriage right now. I'm sorry, buddy, but Week 4 loser right there. Max, who did I leave you with?
Oh, I kind of feel bad doing this. I really kind of do. But the Falcons, they did it again. They're cursed in that city. Whenever they're on the road, this doesn't happen. But anytime a scrappy quarterback goes into Atlanta, I just feel like my life savings are worth putting on an inevitable late game collapse by the Falcons when they have no business doing so. I mean, just, what can you say? What can you say letting up that end of the game touchdown? I mean, that literally looked like it was an NFL street play, basically, where you just throw the ball across the field and it's like a botched trick play. And you're like, wait, I just have all this room to run instead, so I'm going to do that. And I mean, he takes off from the 5. I mean, it's ridiculous. Taylor Heineke is just like, I mean, I saw this coming a mile away. Sometimes I impress myself, but the Falcons, they did it again. And I mean, it's every time they do it right. Every time.
Quick hot take, fellas. Is Taylor Heineke the perfect successor for Fitzmagic? Because he gives me very Fitzmagic vibes in every way. Next thing
I totally agree.
He's a real gym rat, real lunch pail guy.
Yeah,
it's real scrappy.
First in, last out. Real spark plug. Did I get all the euphemisms?
I think so. I think you got most of them.
All right, cool. Going into winners, boys. We're coming back around. Josh, your Week 4 NFL winner.
Banner, I don't feel good doing this to you, and cool. It's not the most glamorous winner. I will save that for someone else. My winner's Kevin Stefanski, and just because, who doesn't love a good old revenge narrative? The best revenge narrative going to this week was going to be the Bucs Patriots game sucked. You know what the only game worse this week was? Vikings Browns, baby. And yes, me and Banners talked a little bit before because I said, what happened? Because I didn't see that game on my screen one bit. But you know what? Kevin Stefanski going back to the old stomping grounds and just having the most ugly win and completely negating your former team.
And they really tried to give it away. Like, it was a bad game.
It was a horrible game. But I'm such a sucker for a revenge narrative. And it's just one of those things where it's like, doing better than you guys. I don't care how it was. 7 points. Win's a win, boys.
Tied with the Cincinnati Bengals atop the AFC North.
Oh.
You guys want to hear something fun? Because I too was curious because I was like, wow, what is going on in this Browns Vikings game? I haven't seen it on Red Zone. Nobody's getting anything in fantasy. What's going on here? And the second half started with 8 punts in a row. Very fun. The most successful drive of those 8 punts was an 8-play, 41-yard, 4-minute and 1 second drive by the Vikings that, of course, ended in a punt because all those drives ended in a punt.
Zimmer likes it.
The Big Ten was back in full force in Minnesota this weekend.
Oh, yeah. Just how Mike Zimmer likes it. Max, your Week 4 NFL winner.
I mean, I'm kind of surprised he made it to me. But you got to give some flowers to Danny Dimes, baby. He went into New Orleans, put up 400 yards on the Saints as an 8.5-point underdog, and came out with an outright overtime victory without Sterling Shepard or Darius Slayton, his 2 most trusted receivers. I got to say, I was very impressed by his performance. He made a lot of good throws. I hate to say it, but to me, he might have had maybe the most unexpected, in a good way, performance of the whole week.
Wow, I didn't see you going there. I'm
surprised.
Did not see you going there.
You got to take the default answer.
I have 2 winners real quick. The first one I'll just touch on really quick is the Ravens preserving their 100-yard rushing streak in hilarious fashion, where I could have also
contentious fashion as well.
Yeah, very content. I could have included Vic Fangio in there in my losers, but John Harbaugh, A+ way to respond to, like, hey, what matters to us doesn't matter to them, and I'm glad we did it.
You're underselling that. He said, I don't know why the Broncos were throwing with 10 seconds left. As far as I'm aware, there's no 16-point play possible in that situation. That was his quote. That is a clapback right there.
Yeah, I'll go there for one of my winners. And 2, I got to send it down to Arizona.
There it is.
The Cardinals, man. We talked about last week how the Rams were at that point the best team in football. The Cardinals are a threat now, and my predictions earlier in the season for Javon Hargrave being the Eagles MVP and the Cardinals winning that NFC West.
Yeah, you're off to you're looking good a month in for
And
sure.
Fletcher
Looking good
Cox.
right now here, boys. I don't know. Will it happen? We'll see. That was our halftime there, our favorite segment, NFL's winners and losers. Before we get to our second half, got to tell you about our friends over there at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, covering all of your favorite Philly sports fans, or all of your favorite Philly sports across blog and social media, phlsportsnation.com, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience.
Jolliker.
Yeah, see? Thank you. Jolliker.
Jolliker.
I'll get it every time, I swear to God. Our second half here, gentlemen. Buy or sell. I'm going to give you something. You tell me whether you buy it or sell it. Week 1. Arizona Cardinals frontrunners. Buy or sell, Max.
Man, I got to roll with my intuition here and say I got to sell this because that division is so wild. Those teams just always do the unexpected. The 49ers were killing the Seahawks for the first half of that game. That game flipped upside down. Sean McVay lost his first game against the Cardinals this past weekend. He's owned Cliff Kingsbury in all of their matchups. For all I know, the Cardinals are going to somehow lose to the San Francisco 49ers led by Trey Lance twice. And I refuse to call anybody a front runner in that division right now. I feel like you're playing with fool's gold if you want to put your name on any of those teams right now, personally.
Fair. Josh, buy or sell?
Am I buying the Arizona Cardinals? Hell yes. As front runners, I am selling. And I'll put my name on a team. It's the Rams who got smacked by them. I'm unwavering. I still believe in the Rams. I think they're the most complete team. I don't know what to chalk this up to. I mean, it's a division game. You know, you get some teams who win division games by a lot, maybe when they shouldn't. I just think that this was a matter of the Rams might have been sniffing themselves a little bit too hard. And the Cardinals are an incredible team. Let's be real. I still like the Rams to come out of that division, but like you said, who knows? Official prediction, maybe for Friday. I like Niners, who I think are vastly overrated. I think they pull something out against the Cardinals next week. I don't know. We've seen Fred Warner neutralize Kyler Murray before. Why not do it again?
I'm buying it if only to make my prediction stand. But
I mean, you have to.
Man, you have to.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't see the Chase Edmonds 120 yards on the ground continuing at all.
Me neither. Where's that coming from?
He had a lot more. He had more reception yards too.
But AJ Green being the team's leading receiver, I don't buy. But this team is so deep at pass catcher. AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, Max Williams, a tight end who's really coming into his own. Rondale Moore, Chase Edmonds out of the backfield, James Conner, Christian Kirk only had 5 yards. There's too much talent on this team to not keep going. So really, if this defense can keep being stout, I'm still buying this the Arizona Cardinals as frontrunners right now.
If Chase Edmonds keeps playing the way he does, then I am buying. I don't think he will though.
I mean, I'm looking at their upcoming schedule too. Like the 49ers, I agree the 49ers are overrated. The Browns, I think the Browns, they can beat the Browns pretty easily considering Baker Mayfield boys. Baker Mayfield looked trash against the Vikings this weekend. Then they go to the Texans. The tough game would be against the Packers. Then they go right back to the Niners. Panthers, Seahawks, Bears, Rams, Lions, Colts, Cowboys, Seahawks.
Too many games. You lost me.
So I'm buying it. Second question here, boys. No, I just threw a lot at you. Mac Jones, the best QB of this rookie class. Max.
Ooh, this is a good one, actually. Man, I'm gonna have to sell this. I feel like once Justin Fields is freed from the bald man with the visor, I feel like, it is a very tall task of Bears ownership to not totally mess up their next hire as well. But he to me still has the unlimited ceiling out of this class, and I don't think I've seen enough from Mac Jones where I'm like, you know what, he's better than I thought. I still think he's pretty good. I still think he can do it, but he's not special. I don't think. I think Justin Fields is a potentially special player, and we're probably not going to see that this year. At least while Andy Dalton, number one fan, is still running the show over in Chicago.
Oh my God.
Josh, buying or selling Mac Jones?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think right now it's a buy by default, but if we're talking like big picture, maybe even stretched out season, I still like Trevor Lawrence, and I'm happy to blame his coach Urban Meyer. Like I just think the tools, the athleticism, I think it's Trevor Lawrence still. And look, we said this a lot, not we, but fans, when Tom Brady was in New England, system quarterback. Clearly that's not true, but I think what you're seeing with Mac Jones is really a system quarterback where Belichick puts him in a good system. It's nothing crazy. He executes well. I give him credit. Right now he's the best quarterback, but long term I'm selling.
Yeah, I'm gonna. How do I phrase this? I'm gonna buy Mac Jones as like a viable starting candidate, starting
I
quarterback
am too.
candidate.
Yeah,
But I have to sell
he's
the
Alex
best.
Smith.
Yeah,
He's
I
Alex
have to
Smith.
sell him. I have to sell him as the best quarterback in this class. Like, I still believe Trevor Lawrence is going to be the best quarterback in this
Yep.
class. I believe in Trey Lance more than I do in Justin Fields. Trey Lance
Ooh,
came
that's a
in
take.
on
He looked
18
good.
on 18 attempts, had a QBR of north of 115. Like this is
Damn.
and racked up 150 yards in 18 attempts. Like I believe in Trey Lance. Like there was a lot of questions about this kid, but I actually do believe in this kid. So it's just, and you keep going. Justin Fields, he could be. He has all the talent in the world. So, like I said, I got to buy Mac as a long term starting quarterback candidate. But there's no way I can buy him ahead of the talent that was drafted ahead of him. Last question here, and somehow we made our way back to baseball. How do we keep doing this?
No.
Dodgers odds-on favorite for the World Series. Max, are you buying?
No, sir. How can I buy a wild card team as the odds-on favorite?
Wow. All right, Josh.
That's exactly the reason I put this question into the doc. I couldn't believe my eyes. Like, sure, maybe they're the best team, but you got to play a one-game wild card that, what, 4 other teams don't have to? Seems a little bit crazy to me. Now, I can't sit here and tell you who should be the odds-on favorite then, but I just don't see how you can have a team that has to play the wild card as the odds-on favorite. It doesn't sit right with me.
I'm going to buy it.
All right, fair play.
Fair.
Did you add
It's
Max
like if the
Scherzer-
Lakers got the 6th seed last year, we still all bought them.
You add Max Scherzer and Trey Turner at the deadline, and now the problem that the Dodgers have is to decide whether or not Max Scherzer, Walker Buehler, or Clayton Kershaw. It's not going to be Kershaw, I can tell you that. But like
Kershaw.
you have a problem deciding who's going to go out there and be your number one starter for the playoff.
I mean,
for
it's
the
got to
wild
be
card.
Scherzer. You don't trade for you don't trade for that guy without giving him the one game.
It's going to be Scherzer. It should be Scherzer, and whoever plays them in the wild card game, you got to go face Max Scherzer.
The Cardinals,
Hey,
hottest team in the league.
I'm going to sprinkle
yeah.
the tiniest little sprinkle in Cardinals money line. Tiny.
That's fair. The
Some
Cardinals
seasoning.
are extraordinarily hot
Kids
right
want to
now.
be me.
But
Kids want to
I
be me. I'm
mean,
salty.
I don't
said
see
that.
it. I don't
You
see
know
it. I'm
he
buying
said that this week.
I'm
He
buying
literally
the
said.
Dodgers
He
at
literally,
odds
sorry,
on
not to
favorite.
cut you off. Sorry.
Whatever.
I'm
dude.
rambling. I'm rambling so hard over here. I thought
Who
about
who
that.
would even who are the Cardinals trotting out as their number one starter? Adam Wainwright.
Dude, you're lucky. I know that the Cardinals are in the one game playoff. Please,
Like
that's as deep as the baseball knowledge goes for me. I mentally checked out so hard as soon as I saw the post, the Phillies were eliminated from the playoffs. I'm like, yep, that frees me from this obligation for the year.
well, that's it for our buy or sell. We'll move into tap outs before we get out of here. Before we get to tap outs, I got to tell you that you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you do not join us here for the live broadcast, Anchor, Spotify, Apple, anywhere in between. TTPL Philly, Trust the Process Live. That's where you can find us. Tap outs, boys. Who's got one?
I mean, I got a simple one. I got a simple
Go
and
for it.
classic one. Let's talk about TV. I can never go wrong because I just finished a show. What a terrible feeling, by the way, finishing a show.
Yep.
I finished Peaky Blinders, and
Great
let
show.
me tell you, gentlemen, I'm not gonna say it's the best show of all time. It might be the most complete show I've seen in a very long time. 5 seasons, 6 episodes, each is an hour. Gosh, it's the best show, and now I have a hole.
The
Do
empty.
you have any quick
You have the empty.
recommendation?
And just another notch in the
Sopranos
belt.
or Wire. If you haven't seen them, I'll always throw those out there.
Another notch in the belt of Tom Hardy, man.
Oh my gosh!
he-
And he's not the main.
he was
He's
fantastic.
almost never the main character, and he shouldn't be. He's so good at what he does.
He's wonderful. Max, what are you tapping us out with?
Oh man, honestly, I don't really have much. Honestly, it's just been a slow week on this front. Like I haven't really been been doing too much. Oh, I actually have one thing to say. It is with great regret I do have to inform you that I probably am going to have to sign up for a $50 a month gym because it just doesn't really seem like anything else is as good of an option near me.
Wow.
That sucks. It sucks. The closest thing that's like comparable is like City Fitness, which is $40 a month, and I'd have to drive there, and that gas adds up. And at that point, why not just save the gas money? I mean, this gym I'm talking about is less than a 5-minute walk from my house, so it sucks. I was flabbergasted to find the price of a gym membership when I started to look again.
Yeah.
It sucks. One other thing to add, I actually did at one point walk into the gym that I'm going to go sign up for and was about to sign up, found out it was $50 a month, and then left. That happened. And now I'm going to go back there. Yeah. I just walked in there one day, like it would be like $25 a month, like a local, small little gym. Like, oh, how bad could it be for just like a monthly membership? And I walked in there and I was like, hey, I want to sign up. They're like, okay, what do you want? I'm just like, basic, just, is there month to month? They're like, for 60, I was like, okay, I just want to use like workout equipment. They're like, you can do a full year at $48 a month. I was like, I don't think that's in my budget right now. And I'm going to walk right back in and hope it's not the same guy at the counter.
Let's see. My tap out boys is 11 days until the boys in orange and black get back on the ice, and hopefully we can crawl out of limbo with the surge of moves that the Chuck Fletcher pulled off in the offseason. But who knows? I don't, because at this point I'm getting addicted to limbo. I don't know why. It just seems like home. It just seems like
we live in it constantly.
Yeah, seems comfortable, which is
the fan of teams that we're fans of.
Yeah, starting to get scary at this point, boys. But 11 days until the Flyers return to the ice. Starting the season overseas against the Blackhawks, I want to say.
Ooh, what? Overseas? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, no, they start overseas. They have like the first 4 games I think of the season are played overseas the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think they start the season against the Blackhawks, if I'm not mistaken.
I had no idea they were overseas. I knew they were against the Blackhawks just because I've looked, but I had no idea that was an outside of the U.S. game.
Yep. So
I think that sucks. I think that's listed as a home game too.
It technically is a home game, yeah.
Yeah, that's beat. So, not ideal. Not ideal.
But yeah, 11 days. That's going to do it for us here at Trust the Process Live. We'll be back with you next week. Eagles are Thursday next week, so yeah, we'll be back with you on Monday. It's been a pleasure as always. We are brought to you by My New Philly, where something is always new.
And everything's
always Philly.
Catch you next week, Philly.